Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I am JayLee. This is JLeesCorner. This is my review from Married at First Sight, Season 11, Episode 5. This season, surprisingly, is entertaining, even during the honeymoon stage. Y'all know usually the honeymoon part is the most boring because they don't know nobody, they don't know each other, and it'd be like this boring strangers having random conversations. But this is not as boring as it usually is or whatnot. But first things first, if you have not done so already, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and become a JayBird, dun 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 dun. I'm a little tired, so we gonna move right along past this, okay? You know to inhale and exhale. You know to center yourself. You know to relax, to relate, to release, okay? You know to follow me on social media. The links is in the description box below. You can also like, comment, and share this video. I'm too tired to do any of that today. Let's get to the couples, okay? First up, Christina and Henry. I still feel like awkward silence is their forte, okay? That's their judge. It's just like I'm still trying to figure out why they were matched together. They were talking a little bit, but I wasn't listening because it was too boring in between. It was like they wasn't talking at all, then a little bit of conversation, then no talking at all, then a little bit of conversation. I'm like, it was no. They are boring, but I'll still watch. Just, it would seem too much. So we do see like later on in the day they're walking around the resort, still being awkward. Okay, because he's nervous, and I was looking for him to not to be nervous, but he's gonna be nervous, and that makes it weird. Okay, now it's my life mission to make him have more fun because again, he ain't did much of nothing or whatnot, and so they go swim like in some mud. But he like, I don't swim, I don't get dirty, so he's saying this is out of my comfort zone. He like wouldn't put his head in the water that was muddy. I don't like muddy water either, so I don't get it. But if I agree to get in it, I might as well get in it. You know what I'm saying? And just do it. He won't do that. It's like just not want to put your head back. He's like, it's just different for me. Again, they are an awkward pair, and she's gonna have to continue. But he feels like they getting better little by little. I'm like, do y'all even talk when the camera's not rolling? If this is how much I talk when the cameras are rolling, do y'all say anything when they are not? And that was really all we had with that couple right there. Okay, now Amelia and Bennett, woke up all happy, and then I ain't gonna say in love, but in marriage or whatever, having a good time. They both bring up how it feels good. The marriage feels good so far, 3-4 days in and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Bennett brings up how, I came on here because, I wanted to do like YOLO, you only love once. I'm like, you only love? That ain't what it's saying. She was like, what? He's like, yeah, I did the show because, YOLO, you only love once. She was like, that's not what it means. It means you only live once. He was like, oh, he had no idea. But again, they're quirky people or whatnot. So we do them like laying around later on, talking about their childhood. He brings up how, his mom had cancer when he was young. And so he would obsess with, the ending of life because he was young. And I've had those moments like in the bed at night. You realize I'm going to be dead one day. And like no one I know. Well, I have those moments of like, okay, yeah, this like life really will eventually end. So I can get that. I can't imagine, and I didn't get that thought as an adult. I can't imagine having that thought as a child. Okay, he says a lot of his time was spent basically stressing about life without his mother, who at that point in time was like his best friend. That's just hard or whatever. Because he's like, my mom dying was hard for me to understand, so I was stressed about that. So she said, I had a happy childhood. Of course you did, okay? My mom worked a lot or whatever, but when she wasn't working and then she was at home, it was amazing. I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, they then hanging outside or whatever at this big human size chess game board or whatever. Now she said, I don't usually like playing chess with people because I don't like to lose, but I'll play with my husband or whatnot. So when they doing that, Bennett and me, it's like I have a crush on my wife. I have a whole ass crush on my whole ass wife. Okay. Now she then talked about like in life I've had different relationships or whatever. I've moved here, I've moved there, I've been moving around. You know, seeing my whole life. He say like like what you mean by that? Well, cause like for my job now, I may have to move. For my job, I may have to move twice for my job or whatever. He's like, oh, okay. So like, but do you ever eventually see yourself like settling down in one location and not consistently moving around, because of your job or whatever? And then she kind of like never answered the question. I feel like she fakely or maybe really was so focused on the game she didn't hear him. I'm like, that was a pretty direct question, but she never said yes or no. I think that can be where their hiccup is. She wants to really be this free spirit and fly free and be whatever, and he wants to be kind of put in one place. He wants a home, and it's hard to have a home if you're consistently moving. Okay, because like you want to be stable, and kind of, have a place that feels like yours. Okay, but I digress. We then have Karen and Miles. Boom. Okay, now they sitting around enjoying their time and stuff as well. Miles tells her how he had a female roommate before, but he's never lived with a partner, a girlfriend before, or whatever. Yeah, me either. I've never, so she's never lived with a man and whatnot. It's like I just wonder, like, how would it be? Like, if I need my own personal space, like, how would I express that to you without it like being rude? Like, do I like, do we put like a sock on the door? And I was like, what? It's weird. Like, when you're married, I don't think you should say, I need my own time. So I need you to not be home. I'm gonna put a sock on the door. That's what roommates do. When you are married, you just have an understanding that they need some me time. And if I'm in the bedroom, it's okay for you to sit around in the living room. I don't think it's a thing to where if I need me time, you shouldn't come home. That's what I take a sock on the door meaning. Like if you come home and it's a sock on the door, go somewhere else. I need some time by myself. And I think he meant like, okay, if we have a 2 bedroom, I'll go and be in the other bedroom. That's fine, but I'm like, I would never want to come home and there's a sock on any door in my house because my husband like wants some him time. Motherfucker, okay, take the sock off the door. If I walk in and say, hey babe, I'm just sitting with myself. Okay, and now I go in the other room. Don't leave no damn sock on the around my house. Don't do that or whatever. It wasn't a big thing, but I felt like that was weird. Now later on the day, they bring up how we're like acquaintances now, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And she brings up how she's still trying to get used to the fact that she's actually married, and this man is actually her husband. So she tried to just get reacclimated to that is an actual factual thing or whatever. So she asked him like, why did you feel like you were really ready for marriage? And I loved his answer. He said, I just I wanted to be a husband and a father, like I saw with my grandparents. And I saw my grandparents had it one for marriage or whatever, and I wanted that, you know what I'm saying? And she said, well, my ex, had a child on me or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And they had other issues as well, but, that was like the icing on the cake because leave his ass alone. She brings by he really just wasn't ready for what she was ready for. And so this is what she needs, someone to be ready for what she's ready for. He like, well, I'm ready, for whatever. So whatever you need, from me to help you get to that point of trusting me that I'm here for the long haul, I'm here for the right reason, just let me know, he brings up how he wants to show her how he is committed to this and that that he is the man that she needs. And I think it's weird that he keeps having to prove that he's there for the right reasons as if she isn't there too. Like, what's the reason? If you came on this show for your reasons and I'm telling you my reasons, I should not have to keep proving that to you conversation wise. Like, take it at face value until I show you something different. You know what I'm saying? So I think I'm kind of a little bit tired of her trying to make sure he's there for the right reasons when he hasn't showed you that he isn't. You know what I'm saying? But I said in the beginning, she needs to let go and just be in the moment of it all versus questioning it every step of the way. Now, he brings up how, in his 26 years of life, he has been in, 10 monogamous relationships or whatever. And she's like, wow, I'm older than you. She's 30 and I've only been in 2. You know what I'm saying? So I wonder, like, if he is a relationship hopper and I'm just number 11. And so she later on asked him, like, why were you in so many relationships? And I feel like someone saying I was in 10 monogamous relationships means I was dating one person and wasn't cheating. You know what I'm saying? But he said, because I was always dating with the intention of getting married. And I'm like, touche. A lot of people date just to date, and you're supposed to date with a purpose. The fact that he was dating for a purpose early doesn't make him like weird or like it's like you're supposed to know what you want out of a relationship. And I mean, I think it's weird that she questions his decision and his life choices or whatever based on him only being 26. She needs to let that shit go. Okay, I'm gonna say that. But I mean, him saying like I was dating with the intention of marriage. So if I got in a relationship, I'm gonna try to see, is this the person I'm supposed to marry? But he also brought up, but I also wanted to be sure if that wasn't my wife, that at the end of the day, when it was over, I will be able to move on and move forward. Because again, I'm dating with the intent to marry someone. And I'm like, if more men thought that way, you know what I'm saying, that don't mean he's like, not Bennett, what's his name? Brett is the relationship or a hopper, because he was just dating chicks just to date chicks. He wasn't dating anybody with the intent to do anything besides probably his pussy. It seemed like it's Miles is saying I was intending to marry each person. Like I was trying to see if they could be my wife, and if they weren't, okay, I have to go on and move on to the next person. I can't sit around and wait. Oh my god, no, let me be single for that. Ain't how everybody do. I digress. But he also brings up how, in the last 2 years, I stayed single. I mingled. I was out here mingling, baby. But I still made it, clear to whoever I mingle with that, I'm trying to still build myself up to be ready to be someone's husband. You know what I'm saying? More and more with each, saying stepping stone or whatever. And then I'm like, that's really cool or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And she brings up, well, at 26, I could not imagine me at 26 being ready. You don't seem ready at 30. Because you keep questioning. I'm girl, it's just kind of crazy. Anyway, we do stay on that night. They go to bed or whatever. He's like, let's sleep in a hammock. And she agrees, and they snuggle in the hammock. And I think it's a good thing that she's still at least, you know what I'm saying, being affectionate or whatever, and not shying away from being close to him. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good thing. Our favorites, Woody and Amani. Okay, now they say how, we be thinking about each other. You know what I'm saying? We be thinking about each other all the time or whatever. You know what I'm saying? She say, and I do want to, you know what I'm saying, have sex with you. You know, I do want that. But, I just want it. And he was like, you want it to be the right time. You know what I'm saying? I get that and I respect that. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking like, we love, to think we thought Woody would be the issue. I thought Woody would be the issue from the wedding to the honeymoon to all after that. He has seemed the least problematic of them all. Not saying he perfect, but the way him and Amani vibe, it's like, okay, he found his, the person he may be equally yoked with. Okay, cool. So she brings up how, I haven't, I'm not really that experienced, you know what I'm saying, sexually, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying, could you like teach me some things? Like, well, it was cute to see him, them both joke about him being a teacher. And I'm like, sometimes you do want, your husband to show you some things. Anyway, so, but it was cool to see them joke about that one night. So we do see how they say how, it was, because, well, I'm going to talk about it later on, but they hung out with other couples or whatever. And they bring up how, it was fun or whatever, but they noticed how, they were the only couple that seemed the most relaxed, the most, vibe, comfortableness with each other, whatever. They also bring up how they thought it was weird that, you know what I'm saying, everybody assumed they had sex because they had this cool connection or whatever, and they haven't. You know what I'm saying? They had not had sex yet. And she said, I don't, it's gonna be worse when we do. Like, we're gonna have sex. Like, it's gonna be like we don't want to be away from one another. He's like, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be, I'm like, I think so too. I want to see them and their energy after they bang it on out. Okay? Anyway. So, but I like how she's like, the reason I'm kind of, taking it step by step is because I want to be sure that, after we have sex, that we can still focus on each other and build versus being, so sexually and lustfully, engaged with one another. We forget to build the other stuff too. I'm like, come on now, let them know. Okay. Now we do see them having a conversation later or whatever. And she brings up how the ex guy that she dated, you know what I'm saying, she found out he was married and she didn't know he was married or whatever, and that was kind of crazy. And then he brings up how, I know I've done some fuck up things in my life too, but so I'm happy that I kind of grew up or whatever. I've learned some lessons and everything, and I'm just happy to where I am now, and I'm here with a whole wife. Okay, I'm stop doing that. She also brings up how, but in my past relationships, I've always had these great connections. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm happy that me and you also had that. She say, but then I would have these great connections in the beginning, and it would turn to shit, after sugar, you know what I'm saying, after a little bit of time or whatnot. So I don't, she said, that's why in the back of my mind, I have this small little thought that, like, what if it doesn't work? Because, again, I've had this feeling with people, and things are good, and then it goes bad. I hope that don't happen. It could. It don't mean it'll end them, because no one is perfect, no couple is perfect. But I think, you know what I'm saying, but I also think that's a realistic thought to have if you know of a pattern of you connecting with the people or whatever, and then, once, 6 months down the line, and the real him show, it be some bullshit or whatever. And so, they go to their room or whatever, and she's like, you want to come take a shower with me? And he was like, for sure. And saying, I said, y'all gonna do it in the shower, but they just go and have a good time or whatever. They didn't have sex, just shit. I'm like, are they giving each other hand jobs in the shower? Because he brought up, within the episode, they took a couple showers together. I'm like, because if you give hand jobs, that's not sex. That's not intercourse. That just helps your partner release some stress or whatever. I heard. But I'm like, are they in the shower giving each other hand jobs? Like, is he dealing her? What's going on in them showers? Or it could just be them in the shower being used. But look, I can't look. I move on. I'm gonna stop. Because look, it is hard in the shower. Anyway, I like how they were in the bed. You're about to go to bed or whatever, all snuggled up, and he brought up how our bodies just kind of gravitate to each other. Like, I don't even be trying it, and I just roll over and I'm just right by your body. Okay. He brings up how usually sex is a big thing in his relationships. He said, but I'm not even worried about that with her. I'm saying, I'm loving getting to know her, every piece of her, like her, mentally, spiritually, into all. He just wants to get to know Amani, okay? And they in the bed laughing and joking or whatever, just vibing. And he said to her, like, you make me feel comfortable, enough to admit that I'm falling for you. I'm like, come on now, Woody. Okay, it was cute. We love Amani and Woody. I think they are going to be a fan favorite this season. Okay, we then have Olivia and Brett. Y'all know it's still something about Brett I don't trust. Okay, and so far they get along. She says they laugh a lot. He compliments her as well, so she knows there's an attraction. Okay, he bring up how, I'm saying, I think it was great. It was great. And they chit-chatting or whatever. He brings about his last relationship was was a year ago. She said, well, mine was about 3.5 years ago. She brings about, after the last relationship ended, she just took some time to herself and built herself up just to get to know herself. I think people don't get, if you are consistently in a relationship, you have to sometimes take that time to just be single. Single. Because single don't mean lonely at the all. Anyway, he like, damn, 3.5 years, that's a long time for somebody. That's odd to not date for 3 years and then just jump into a marriage. I'm looking like it's really not. It's really not, honestly, because I mean, it's just a decision to make, to take a step or whatever. Now he tells her how that, so the last time he dated, honey, excuse me, he said the last time he dated was 2 days before they got matched. He had went on a date with a girl, like it was like their second date, and the only reason they didn't go on a third date was because they got a match. And she said, well, what would have happened like if there was a third? Because he said like she was a cool girl, he liked her or whatever, but he got matched, so he kind of just stopped talking to her. And what would have happened like if there was a third date? He's like, well, they would not have been because again, I got matched. Meaning you were still actively, dating and hanging out with women while trying to be on the show to find love. How do you not at least pause until you find out if you're gonna be on the show? It's weird because because what if you get matched? It's just weird to say 2 days because the process for this isn't like, it's a day or two. It's like it takes some time to get picked and all that stuff and get vetted and whatnot. And he was so active, girl. He was so actively dating, but I digress. You know what I'm saying? So we do see them later on having like little random chats or whatever. We know that she don't like suitcases on the bed, but she don't mind peeing in the shower. And he like, that's improper. You should not pee in the shower. I'm like, I've never heard a man with a penis, see how, people don't pee in the shower. I think let me shut up. Anyway, he said, that's just not proper. You know what I'm saying? No one should pee in the shower. I also don't pass gas in front of women. I'm like, well, ain't he nice? He still was an asshole in the episodes 1 and 2, but I mean, I digress. So the following morning, he brings up how, he was engaged before. And the girl who he was engaged to was the one who cheated on him. And she said, oh, well, did y'all try to work it out? He was like, well, at the first time, yeah. In the second time, yeah. But eventually, when she kept doing it, okay, we had to break up. So he's like, we tried to make it work, but she kept cheating. I'm like, if she kept cheating on him, does that mean he's an asshole who keeps getting cheated on, or she's just a cheater? I just wonder. So she brings up the last guy that she dated. She thought he would be the one. He was not the one. It did not work out, and that's the whole reason that she took a little 3-year hiatus. She brings up that after a while, it did get lonely. And so that's why I came here to be on Married at First Sight or whatever. I was tired of being at home and being lonely or whatever. Now we do see they later go like a little obstacle course, outdoor event or whatnot. And she was on a little monkey ring bar. She swing all the way from one side to the other like a little American Ninja style and whatnot. And he was on it too, but he got like blisters on his hands. And his hands got kind of messed up. And I'm like, oh. So they had to like wrap his hands up because of the blisters. I'm looking like, next time wear gloves. So as they sit and chit chat and whatnot, she asked like, is the whole kids topic comes up. He says like, well, yeah, I will want kids eventually, you know what I'm saying, because I have nieces and nephews or whatever, and I think it's great having children. And she said, well, I never wanted to like get married and like have kids. He said, oh, okay. And he's like, well, I wouldn't want for us to have kids unless we both wanted them. Like, it wouldn't be fair to the child if we have kids and only I wanted them. Like, that's just, whatever. And she said, well, I think I'm not in a rush, to do that, you know what I'm saying? Maybe eventually we can have kids, but I never saw myself as a parent. I think if he said he wanted kids beforehand and she said she did not want kids, they should not have been matched. I always say, like, religion, kids, money, ideas, that's the big reason why people divorce. You cannot match a pair where one person wants children and the other one either doesn't or isn't sure if they do, because that can be a deal breaker for the other person. But I digress. Okay, so that was the end of them or whatever. So we did see all the couples kind of hanging out around the island. We see Woody and Amani hanging out with Bennett and Amelia, swimming in the pool or whatever, having fun or whatever. We then see Woody lost his wedding ring in the pool. And he's like, I lost my ring. My ring came off in the pool. I can't believe it. And it's because you were swimming so much. You know what I'm saying? All that. And he's like, this means so much. I can't believe I lost my ring. And he was upset that he had lost it and everything. And, he brings like, now I just got to have my wife attached at my hip. And he kind of pulls somebody close. You're right here. You know what I'm saying? If anybody talking to me, they gotta ask you the stuff because you're my wife, and you have to speak for me because again, I don't have my ring on, and that's the way to make everybody know this is my wife. I'm a married man. I think that's cute of him making it seem as if I don't have my ring on, I need my wife to be my ring. This is my wife. Point blank. Period. Until he at least gets his ring back. And she sees he's a little bit, you know what I'm saying, like, oh my God. And I think she feel it that he feels like she may be upset because he lost it. And she just calmly rubs his face and rubs his beard. It's okay. It's okay. It's not that deep. It's okay. He like, you free. She's like, yes, it's okay. You be fine. You know what I'm saying? And because I think she felt him like freaking out. It was cute. It was real cute. And she then said, you know what I'm saying, come on, take a shower with me. And I'm not gonna help him relieve some stress or whatever. But it was cute to just see her want to make sure that he knew it's okay. You know what I'm saying? It was an accident. You know what I'm saying? We do see Miles and Karen. They're chilling by the pool in the water by themselves. We see Henry and Christina who were kayaking, and Henry seems to let his guard down a little bit, but he was talking a little bit more, but still not as much or whatever. It's like when Julia Roberts was less like a hooker in Pretty Woman, and her and Richard Gere would sit around and chit chat. It was no longer, pimping John, prostituting John. It's like, okay, we just people. We can talk, you know what I'm saying? It's not awkward no more. Because remember, at first, you know what I'm saying, how do we do this? Do we kiss? Do we not kiss? No kissing at all. And it was that. So again, less prostitute-ish. We then see Olivia and Brett, who are also enjoying some pool time or whatever, and talking about a pool, about how they grew up. Olivia said, I grew up this way, or I grew up that way, or whatever. And Brett also says how much of a joy she is to be around, and she thinks we're on the same page so far. I said, you sure? Are you sure? Now we then see all the couples hanging out together, okay? So we see, boom. Okay, we see Karen and Miles and their elements. I like her braids still. Her braids still seem so fresh, considering they didn't like it in the water and stuff. That's kind of cute. And how he looks at her like, that's my wife. That's my wife. Okay. So we see them two. Okay. And I'm trying to tell y'all couples, outside of the little wedding thing. We have, boom, Christina and Henry, who seem really, a lot of people put in my comments, well, not a lot, a few people put in my comment section. They wonder if Henry is at all on the spectrum of like autism or Asperger's or something, because of how he seems standoffish and different just traits that you typically do see in people who are on the spectrum a little bit. But you know what I'm saying? They still, at least are sitting around just smiling, around other people. We then have Bennett and, I'm trying to remember names when I look well the things. Bennett and Amelia, okay, who look like they belong together as a couple. Okay, they look as quirky can be, and I love it. Okay, it was so cute. Okay, we also then have, boom, Brett and Olivia. I feel like he's all Brett. I don't know. He seems nice so far to her, but I feel like under the surface level of it all, he gonna come out and we're not gonna like it at all. But again, at least he's sitting around with his wife and he seems happy. We then have, of course, our favorites. And the reason I picked this picture is because they were talking. You know what I'm saying? And when talking, they made this face at the same time to kind of defend each other. And I'm like, see, they be vibing. A whole vibe or whatever. I love it. Okay, so the whole couple, they all sitting around together laughing and talking and chit-chatting or whatever. Woody and Amani brings up how he lost his ring while swimming and everything. And, they then ask couples, so how are things going? Like, how are y'all all vibing, with your spouses or whatever? So, do y'all like your spouses? Do y'all like your spouses? And Brett jokingly says, well, yeah, all of us wearing our ring as a joke. And that's when Amani and Woody make that face together, like, don't do that, don't do that. And Amani said, get off my husband. Like, my husband likes me, okay? And they both bring up how, I'm saying, the ring missing don't mean nothing, because again, they vibing all up and through here. Okay, all up and through here, okay? And the whole group agrees we can feel a vibe from them like no other. And they do kind of insinuate, oh, they must be fucking. And they was like, I don't know, no, that's not what's going on or whatever. We then see Olivia and Brett. No, Olivia says, oh, well, Brett is great. You know what I'm saying? I think he's great or whatever. Henry in sad voice then said, well, in his confessional, I had second guesses about Brett, from the bachelor party. It was just weird or whatever. And I felt like he really was not here for the right reasons. So hopefully, he can, we can keep our eye on him to show he's okay. Because Olivia seemed like such a nice woman. Yeah, it's something about Brett that we don't trust just yet. Okay, I didn't mean to rhyme. Karen and Miles said how they are now each other's stranger. Meaning, she said, how you go somewhere and you see that person who's like, you don't know them. Like, you go to the same, hotel, and that's the doorman. You go to, a sales store, it's the same. Like, if you go to these places, you see the same people. You don't know them, so they're stranger, but they're familiar. So that's your person, like that's your doorman, that's your Uber driver. It's the people who are familiar to you, but you don't know them. So he's my stranger, I'm, his stranger. I think it was cute for them to say it that way. And he brings about, it's a way of saying, like, you familiar to me, but I still have a lot to learn about you to get to know you, but you're still a stranger, but you're my stranger. And Christina said, yeah, that's how me and, Henry, that's how I say, no, it's not. You and Henry are just awkward. Y'all aren't even like Karen in my house. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. They then asked her, what about the chemistry? Like, how is the sexual chemistry? Amani admits they took a shower together, but that's just it. They have not had sex just yet. Bennett admits we do smooch a lot, but that's it though. That's what we're doing right now. Now, Brett then says, we decided, together to not discuss the details of our sex life, but we do have great chemistry. I feel like they may have had sex and they don't want to talk about it, and that's up to them. It's fine. Henry and Christina say how they are just still figuring things out or whatever, but so far so good. I'm like, no, y'all are like aliens. It's just weird or whatever. But again, if she like it, I love it. She brings up how I usually like aggressive men. He then says, yeah, I'm not aggressive. And they like, have y'all figured out a reason y'all were matched yet? Because that's a big thing. And she said, well, at first I wondered, like, why? You know what I'm saying? But then I just say, we've been just talking and like getting to know each other. No, y'all haven't. Not on camera, at least. He even brings up how he's never even approached a woman at a bar. But he's trying to get out of his comfort zone. I'm looking like, if he's never done that, marrying at first sight is like way down the line of what he should have been doing, okay? And all the other couples do notice how they're the odd couple out. Christina and Henry don't. It's not something off about them, but you can honestly tell that they haven't clicked yet. They're still figuring shit out, okay? And all the other couples, for the most part, has figured out at least the walkway of love of a stranger or whatever. And that was basically the whole show. There was a little scene where Woody and Miles, Amani, and Karen all went out because, of course, as we know, Woody and Miles are best friends. And so they're the first set of people on the show where they had best friends able to do this together and experience it together. So they kind of all hung out together. And they went like speedboating, where they were on the back of a speedboat that was like taking them around and like, driving off fast or whatever. And they had a good time. Or whatever. And it was funny because Miles, yeah, you can feel the chemistry and just the vibeness of Woody and Amani. And again, him and Karen ain't there yet. They not there yet, but they just not there at all yet. And again, I need Karen to loosen up. I don't even think I've seen Karen and Miles kiss. I think we've only really seen Amani and Woody kiss each other. And it'd be cute. they have this like love language already of being touchy feely without it being weird. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, it's that vibe. They ain't got listen. I can't sing R. Kelly's song anyway because I was gonna sing R. Kelly's vibe. That was the whole episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will talk to you guys next week, or actually, like I got tons of videos. Go watch some more of them. Anyway, peace.